Good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and of course, we're going to be getting to the JRC here momentarily. But first, the disclaimer and the trigger warnings. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, all pertinent links are going to be right there in the description box for you. So should you want to go ahead and do a deep dive on those subjects, you're certainly going to be able to do so. Trigger warning. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. I do use profanity, and when we talk on topics such as the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of or catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got someone there that is 16 and younger and they are watching this channel, parental supervision is advised, all right? All right, where we left off. This is another anonymous one. I want the FDA to ban the use of electric shock devices for behavior modification. I am an autistic woman. I first learned of this practice as a teenager and was horrified. Oh my God, I'm going to feel old again. I was already adult by the time that video went viral. I had jumped in 2008 before we even had the video, and they were still fighting in court. Andre McCollum's mom was, with a few of us advocates behind her, to get the judge to allow for that video to be shown in court. And it took us 2 years. 2 years for something that should have been just automatic. But still, it makes me feel old because, God, how old was I during that time? I was in my 20s. But anyways, sorry about that. These people, just like me, are being tortured for standing up and screaming in pain due to the shocks. This is inhumane. This is no way to treat a human being. Speak on it. It's the simplest thing in the world. A. Fear is not a practical tool to be able to be utilized in anything that regards medicine, because its effect is short-lasting, which means you have to continue to apply that fear over and over and over again in order for it to be effective. So that means when you remove the fear factor, because nothing's actually really been dealt with, well, wouldn't you know it, there comes the behaviors again. You can't hurt someone and then tell others it's going to keep them from hurting themselves and make it an actual decent argument. You sound unhinged and insane when you say stuff like that. It becomes even more unhinged and insane when you then insist that you hurting those kids intentionally somehow better improves their lives. Because look, they're smiling, they're doing what they're supposed to do. Yeah, when we were kids and we were in fear, we would do everything we were supposed to do too for about all 5 minutes. But wouldn't you know it, the following week we'd be doing the same crap again. Because that is the effect of fear. You get immediate results, the results that you want, but it's very brief. Fear never completely gets entire hold to the point that you can rearrange your behaviors because of it and actually make it last. Fear breeds hate, rage, and resentment. Just as much as depression and post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety issues. Believe me, because, yeah, I got the anger, the resentment, all-encompassing rage, but I also had severe post-traumatic stress disorder. severe anxiety disorder, clinical depression. And when I was a young adult, coming out of all that, I had suicidal ideation. Granted, that didn't last very long, thank God. But yeah, it's completely ineffective unless you continue to use it over and over again. And if you're using it over and over again and the individual on the shot collar realizes that they're going to be stuck with that device their entire life because nobody actually wants to do something that would require them to go back to the drawing board, it's nonsensical. Even from treatment program service system point of view, let's ignore the fact that I'm autistic and was in the service system, but just off of what I know being employed by the very same service system, it makes no coherent sense. None. I hate to say it, but straitjackets make more sense than those shock devices. Because those things aren't designed with the intent to harm the individuals that are inside them. They're only used specifically to restrain, to keep individuals from being a danger to themselves or others. Is it invasive? Yes, but sitting there and trying to tell me that a GED device isn't insults my intelligence. But let's go back here. We'll take a look at a few others. Scroll down a little bit. Let me see. I think that is... Yep, this is another comic. Good. This will be amazing for many autistic and intellectually disabled folk. And let's not forget those who are in the JRC who are there due to mental health. I do not want to leave them out because they are going through the same exact things in that hellhole that all the rest of them are. Let's not be leaving them out. There is a reason we went out there and got a hold of NAMI and let them know what was going on at the JRC. It was because, point blank, we were not the only targets. So let's keep that in mind, folks, please. God, that sounded condescending. I'm sorry. That did not come out the way that I wanted it to. And I don't have an edit button, so you guys have to deal with my internal dialogue sometimes becoming vocal where you can hear it. All right, let's take a look at this one here. Okay, this one says we need to stop people from using violent, painful technology to abuse children for aggressive behavior. Children aren't dogs, for God's sake. I approve of this rule. Dogs don't deserve that shit either. Okay? If I see anyone doing that sort of crap to their dog, let's just say I'm really good at raining down hell. No living being should have to undergo that form of treatment, point blank, period. I know we got a few others. Let us scroll down a little bit. Okay, here we go. This one states, I am autistic and I'm acutely aware of how shock devices have been used to harm the most vulnerable people in our community. In this day and age, we should know better than to permit the usage of torture on disabled children. For real! For real! Folks, there is a reason why a lot of horror movies are based on old insane asylums. And by the way, folks, they didn't just stick people with mental health issues in there. If you were disabled, you got thrown in there. The horror stories that you hear about the experiments done on the individuals in those asylums, I hate to tell you, but a lot of it's true. A lot of it is true. Okay? There's a reason for that. That horror you feel when you watch those stories, it shows footage of what they got up to the patients. You can't watch that and then watch the video of what happened to Andre McCollins and then come back and tell me that this is a good idea and perfect in regards to providing treatment. Just saying. All right, let's move to the next one here. Yes, you have to watch me scroll, you'll live, I promise. All right, next comment here. This is revolutionary and will help so many autistic people who are treated like a problem instead of human beings. Banned electrotherapy for autistic people. Okay. Again, we need to be watching our words, people. The JRC has utilized people's confusion in regards to ECT and ESD in order to win court cases, in order to confuse juries. We have to be precise in our language for a reason. ECT is an entirely different process, and the only thing that makes it resemble the GED at all is that they both use electricity to run. And then, after that, that's kind of where the similarities end. I know it sounds like I'm nitpicky, but I do this for a reason, folks. You gotta be specific in your wording. Otherwise, they will take it and run with it. Alright, let me go back to where we were, but otherwise, I agree completely with what this individual says here. Okay, let's continue on here. Go down to where I was. Alright, and this is one of the templates. But we're going to read it anyway. I am fully in favor of banning electric shock devices. Mentally ill and disabled individuals are, for a variety of reasons, an incredibly vulnerable population, especially in facilities where every moment of their lives is monitored and controlled by staff. Allowing an industry with a history of truly horrific abuses and far less oversight than it needs to electrocute patients will do more harm than good. Very well said. Yeah, definitely has and will continue to do so. All right, we're going to go to the last comment for this page and we'll go ahead and close out for this one. All right, this one says, I support a ban on electrical stimulation devices intended for self-injurious behavior or aggressive behavior. For decades, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities have been tortured by these devices at the Judge Rotenberg Center. It's the only place in the country that still uses this barbaric and inhumane practice despite substantial evidence that the shocks are painful and traumatizing to the residents. Alternative positive behavioral supports exist and are proven to be more effective. Please support this ban. Again, same template, but it gets the point across, doesn't it? Yeah, that's what I thought too. So we're going to go ahead and close out for this one, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel, and the few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit the comments, and double make sure that you are set up to receive notifications. Click on the bell if it's not showing that it's already marked. We do still have the series we are still currently working on, as well as a couple new ones coming along the way, and I don't want you to miss anything. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea absolutely do. Hope you have a good one. I'll see you here in a little bit. Bye, everyone.